Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are taking on, well, it has to be one of the greatest paradoxes in all of modern myth, the science of Thor's hammer, Mjolnir.
Oh, absolutely. It's the ultimate riddle.
I mean, we're talking about a weapon that in the comics weighs a comfortable 42 pounds, something you could theoretically pick up.
Right, like a small anchor. Manageable.
And yet it's completely immovable by the Hulk, the strongest one there is. How do you even begin to square that circle?
You can't, not with everyday physics. So our mission today is to dig into the sources, the real-world science that has tried to solve this.
We're talking about physicists like James Kakalios, whose ideas actually made it into the comics.
Exactly, and chemists who've looked at it and said, okay, what is this thing actually made of? We're here to find those surprising scientific nuggets that show how Asgardian magic is maybe just science we haven't discovered yet.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the weight, because that contradiction is at the heart of everything. Marvel can't even seem to agree on it.
They can't. On one hand, you have the comic canon, which says 42.3 pounds to be exact, and that's crucial because Thor needs to swing it.
But then you get someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson involved.
And he runs the numbers. He takes the fan theory that Mjolnir was forged from a dying star, so it must have the density of a neutron star.
And if it were made of neutron star stuff, what are we talking about?
Well, his calculation was it would weigh more than a herd of 300 billion elephants.
300 billion.
It would just sink through the Earth's crust on the spot, destabilize the whole planet. So clearly both things can't be true at the same time. Unless there's a mechanism that allows the hammer to change its mass on demand.
And this is where that physicist, James Kakalios, comes in. His idea is an indestructible Hulk number 8.
It is. The solution relies on these hypothetical particles called gravitons.
Gravitons. So what are they?
They're the particles that are theorized to mediate the gravitational force, sort of like how photons carry light. Mjolnir can supposedly emit them, which lets it actively change its effective weight.
Okay, so that's the how, but what about the why? The whole worthiness enchantment. Odin didn't program it to repel, a table. He programmed it to recognize character.
Right, and Tony Stark called it a security code, and that's probably closer to the truth. The sources suggest it isn't judging morality like a person would.
It's more like a piece of tech.
A very, very advanced piece of tech. It likely has some kind of biosensor or AI that scans the user. Odin, acting as the system administrator, programmed its operating code to only respond to a very specific biometric signature, one that matches his definition of worthy.
So let's run the scenario. The Hulk, who I assume does not have the password.
Not even close.
He grabs the hammer. The hammer is, let's say, 40 pounds. He pulls up with 80 pounds of force. What does Mjolnir do?
Instantly, it reads that upward force. And faster than thought, it emits just enough gravitons to increase its own weight from 40 pounds to 80 pounds.
So it perfectly matches him.
It perfectly nullifies his effort. The net force is 0. It stays put. The moment he lets go, the gravitons stop, and it's back to being a 42-pound hammer.
But the Hulk's strength is, well, it's basically limitless. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. Can the hammer just keep scaling up forever?
That's the terrifying part.
Yeah.
Conceptually, yes. And Kakalios actually put this in the comic.
He did.
He did. He explained that if the Hulk got angry enough, strong enough to exert, say, billions of tons of force, Mjolnir would have to keep scaling its gravity higher and higher to match him.
Which means it's getting denser and denser.
Precisely. And eventually, its localized gravity would become so intense it would just sink.
Sink through what?
Through the floor, through the Earth's crust, the mantle, potentially collapsing into a black hole and taking the whole solar system with it.
So its ultimate security feature is mutually assured destruction.
It's the ultimate, if I go down, I'm taking you with me.
Yeah.
A brilliant piece of engineering, really.
Okay, let's pivot. From standing still to moving. So we solved the weight paradox. What about flight and the callback? The flight part seems pretty simple.
Yeah, the flight is rather tidy. It's all about conserved momentum. Thor swings Mjolnir around, building up a huge amount of momentum.
And because he's tiny in comparison.
His mass is minuscule. He just holds onto the strap and gets carried along for the ride.
But the real headache for physicists is the callback. That's the hard part. It comes back from miles away through buildings.
It is. Because magnetism is out, the range is too short. And even if you try to use gravity Newton's equation, it just isn't strong enough.
The force is too weak over that distance.
Way too weak. It wouldn't accelerate back to him nearly as fast as we see in the movies.
So if you can't change the mass or the distance in the equation, you're left with one other variable.
You have to change g. the universal gravitational constant.
Okay, hold on. For anyone listening who doesn't think about this every day,
Right.
what exactly is G and why is changing it so radical?
G is, it's one of the fundamental numbers that runs the entire universe.
Right.
It dictates the strength of gravity everywhere.
Like the speed of light, one of those constants you just don't mess with.
You do not mess with it. If you change G even a tiny bit, stars wouldn't form correctly.
Yeah.
Planetary orbits would go haywire. It would literally break reality as we know it.
And the sources are suggesting Mjolnir breaks reality when Thor calls it.
For a moment, yes. The theory is that Asgardian tech, maybe using a tesseract or something, can temporarily increase the local value of G
By how much?
by a factor of 1 trillion.
A trillion.
This creates a massive, overwhelming gravitational pull between Thor and the hammer, strong enough to yank it back to his hand at incredible speed, no matter the distance.
Wow. So it's not just advanced tech, it's rewriting the operating system of the cosmos just for a second. And once it's back in his hand.
It resets G to the universal default, becomes massive again, and it's ready to go. It's cosmic-level physics pretending to be a loyal weapon.
That's a very satisfying answer. Okay.
Ah.
So let's shift from physics to chemistry. What is this thing actually made of? We have to forget the gravitons for a second and just look at the material itself. Iron Man had a great line about the fictional metal Uru.
He did. How can there be a metal on Asgard that isn't in the rest of the universe?
Exactly.
And chemists have proposed that Uru isn't a single element at all. It's a composite, an alloy made from elements we have right here on Earth, just optimized.
And there are 5 specific components that could explain everything we see it do.
Pretty much every non-gravity property, yeah.
Okay, number 1. What explains why a villain like Magneto could stop it in its tracks?
That would be our first component, iron. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Mjolnir has to be ferromagnetic, and that might even tie into the worldliness enchantment.
How so?
Well, think about those real-world Mjolnir replicas people have built. They use a powerful electromagnet and a fingerprint scanner.
Right. If your print is on file, the magnet turns off and you can lift it.
Exactly. Same principle, just
Yeah.
way more advanced. Component number 2 explains its glow.
The glow. Okay.
That's thorium, element 90. Named after Thor, appropriately enough. When you heat thorium dioxide, it produces this brilliant white light. It's what they used in old gas lanterns.
But the thorium connection is deeper, isn't it? Especially when it comes to the Hulk.
Oh, absolutely. This is the crucial part. When thorium undergoes a nuclear reaction, one of the things it produces is an isotope, U-232.
Uranium.
And U-232, as it decays, gives off gamma radiation. And as you, the listener, definitely know, gamma radiation is what created the Hulk in the first place.
So Mjolnir is constantly leaking the exact type of energy that irritates and triggers Bruce Banner.
It's basically a giant, glowing, passive irritant to the Hulk. It explains so much about their dynamic. It's not a coincidence, it's chemistry.
That's fantastic. Okay, what about the flash of light when it hits something or when it shatters in Ragnarok? That's not just the thorium glow.
No, that's component number 3.
Yeah.
A triboluminescent material.
A tribo. Wow.
Triboluminescence. It's just a fancy word for light that's produced by friction or impact. If you crush a wintergreen candy in the dark, you'll see a little blue flash. That's triboluminescence.
So the hammer has a layer of that, converting the impact energy into a flash of light, a smash glow.
Precisely. Next up, its durability. Surviving Surtur's sword, being forged in the heart of the sun.
That requires insane heat resistance.
And for that, we need component 4, hafnium. Specifically, a hafnium compound like tantalum hafnium carbide. Its melting point is near 4,000 degrees Celsius, one of the highest known to science.
That would do it. Okay, last one, the big energy blasts. The thermoblast he sometimes uses against huge enemies.
For that, you need something with a lot of punch. Component 5, plutonium.
Pluto.
Specifically, pyrophoric plutonium. It's a form that spontaneously ignites in moist air, generating incredible heat. You could control that reaction to create that massive mystic energy blast.
So Mjolnir isn't Uru. It's a terrifying alloy of iron, radioactive thorium, heat-proof hafnium, a light-up crystal, and explosive plutonium, all run by an AI that bends the laws of physics.
That's a pretty good summary. And this kind of grounding in real science isn't just for the hammer. It's all over the MCU, especially in Jane Foster's work.
Right, the Bifrost. She specifically calls it an Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Which is the proper scientific term for a wormhole, proposed back in 1935. She also talks about gravimetric spikes to handle the convergence, and even brings up the old concept of the ether and links it to dark matter.
It all comes back to Arthur C. Clarke's third law. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
It really is. And Thor says it himself. Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science. I come from a place where they're one and the same. Learning the science doesn't take away the magic. It just makes you appreciate the engineering.
It really does. I mean, we talk about the hammer being forged in a dying star, but that's not even that fantastic, cosmically speaking. The atoms that make up you, the listener, were also forged inside a star that exploded.
We're all made of stardust. It connects the mythic to the mundane in a really beautiful way.
So to just quickly recap here, the weight paradox is solved by gravitons, flight is momentum,
And the callback requires manipulating G, the universal constant itself.
while the hammer itself is a complex, terrifying alloy of 5 different Earth elements.
And if you connect all of that to the big picture, the most profound idea is that the ultimate form of technology isn't just building things. It's gaining control over the fundamental constants of the universe.
That's true godlike power.
Exactly.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to explore on your own. Since Asgardian tech can apparently manipulate the very laws of physics,
Yeah.
consider this. If you had the technology to change just one fundamental law of the universe, even for a moment, which law would you choose? And what magical effect would you create?
Something to think about. Until next time.
We'll see you for the next deep dive.